watched A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010, and I think maybe the opening credits of this movie really sum up exactly my problem with it. You've got the motif of the credits written in children's chalk handwriting. It works just fine. It's legible, it's a good motif to go with, but the movie doesn't trust itself enough, so it has to go back in and go over the chalk handwriting with a standardized font. This movie has good ideas. It actually has a lot of good ideas, but it can't just trust itself to let them land on their own. We still get Nancy and Jesse, but new characters are introduced. Dean, who dies in the opening kill, Chris driving the VW bug of my 18-year-old dreams, and Quentin, who I know I've seen somewhere before, but I can't quite care enough to look him up. The cast feels a lot like a CW drama. The Vampire Diaries and Supernatural will follow at 11. It's the same basic story you've heard before, but now it's built up more. We get a lot more characterization out of the parents. Clancy Brown is here. I love him. He makes Pet Cemetery 2 my personal favorite. The mom from American Horror Story, all sorts of folks are popping up. A few notable changes might be how the movie explains things. Why has Freddy returned now? Because the children are starting to remember what he did to them, and their fear and awareness of him feeds his power. It's a great explanation, and it could even be a subtle metaphor for unresolved trauma causing lingering effects even if you can't consciously remember it. Except it's kind of framed like burying your trauma is the correct solution. Uh, just not remembering him worked for years. It's not a great lesson. The movie also introduces the concept of micronaps, which is a real thing, but again, it doesn't trust itself enough. We get a research scene using Gigablast, which was apparently a real search engine at one point, so that's a fun fact. Look, the search button says blast off. That's adorable. And all of these articles, Jesse or Quentin, I genuinely cannot tell them apart, is reading explains what a micronap is. And then, like 10 minutes later, we get it read to the audience as well. Either one of these scenes would have been fine, but instead, we get both because it has to be hammered home. The micro sleeps are actually a great idea. They give the movie a way to cleanly have dreams bleed into reality. The original movie had that happen too, but it was messy and poorly explained and led to me going, wait, are they asleep or not? Was it all a dream? This one actually handles that part well. And then, about halfway through the movie, the kids, mainly Nancy and Quentin, I believe, are led to think that Freddy might have actually been innocent and start to feel immense guilt because it was their fault he died, which is really poorly handling the subject matter. First off, we all know this is a nightmare movie. We all know he's guilty. The original movie never said outright that Freddy was a molester, but it was heavily implied in multiple different ways. This movie just straight up says it. Second off, if he was really just the kindly gardener at a preschool, why is he now torturing and killing the children? We have been watching him eviscerate teenagers for an hour now. I guess my theory is that Freddy was controlling what the flashback dream showed to paint himself as innocent, but why? What does he have to gain? They're already afraid of him. It's, it brushes up against the whole "but who was the real monster" thing, which y'all know I hate. The flashback does give us a glimmer more of the parents, which I like, and it gives us a better understanding of what they went through and why they made the choices they did. Some of the imagery of Nancy is uncomfortable in an icky way, and I don't really care for it. Her dressed in little girl clothes while Freddy looms over her saying vile things is just ugh. Thankfully, despite maybe not handling this topic the best, the movie does refrain from actually showing anything, so we are spared that at least. Now, the solution is, of course, to bring Freddy into the real world in a Russian nesting doll loop of Freddy's deaths. He kills them in their dreams, so they bring him back into the real world to kill them, so he kills them in their dreams, so he brings them back into the real world to kill him, so he kills them in their dreams, so they bring him back into the real world to kill him. Where does it end? I think we should take a page from the Winchesters and salt and burn the body. This bringing him into the real world isn't working. The special effects in this movie are lackluster. It's 13 Ghosts quality, except it lacks the charm of 13 Ghosts and has 10 years and loads more money behind it. They recreate a few of the original deaths and shots, but they do them poorly. If you're going to recreate a classic scene, you need to either do it better or do it differently enough to make it a new thing. This movie does neither. And the entire vibe of this movie is just kind of sleepy? I know, I need to explain. And I think the reason it feels so sleepy to me is because this movie is determined to be dark and gritty and serious and drains a lot of the weird, energetic nightmare quality out of it. The original Nightmare movies can be horrifying, but they also have this bizarre fever dream quality. Even when they're slow, there's something uncanny happening underneath them. The dream sequences feel like the movie is constantly breaking its own rules. This one is very gray, very muted, very serious, and very slow. It's atmospheric, but there's a difference between dreamlike and sedated. This is a Nightmare on Elm Street movie about people desperately trying not to fall asleep, and I could absolutely put it on and fall asleep on the couch, which feels like a pretty serious design flaw. The bright spot in this movie, though, Jackie Earl Haley. Phenomenal. And I don't think I've heard anyone complain about this movie without qualifying that their issue is not with him, because he is fantastic. Despite not having a gigantic stature, this man pulls off unsettling, invasive, aggressive, and scary. He's got the feeling of something you don't want to be around, and he doesn't have to do much to make you feel that way. His voice is rough and gravelly. The makeup effects for his looks are great. I really liked that part. Now, I can understand not liking the more realistic makeup, but I think it benefits him enormously. They did a great job with it. Parts of his face still look crispy, and he still gets a one liner off about wet dreams because I'm sure that's in Freddy's contract. So, did I like this movie? Nah. It's not bad enough to be offensive, and it's not good enough to be worth a rewatch. Jackie Earl Haley is the highlight, but he's honestly not in it very much, which is probably for the best because at least that part is handled properly. It answers a few questions, but it's never really confident enough to really pull them off. It handles sensitive topics with maybe less tact than it should, and the special effects are disappointing. The actors are fine though, but maybe it would have been better as a CW show.